main reason why people just freaked out about the question that was put in the HSC for the Crucible about love was because people didn't have enough of an understanding of how context is so key to your preparation on the Crucible and your formulation of an essay structure that will be very versatile to any different question that's given to you. It'll give you the tools to answer the question and also make sure that you have the appropriate amount of depth in terms of understanding how the context relates to the text and how that links back to the rubric that you've been given for the common module. So for the Crucible, the key thing to remember is, and to understand, is that it was composed during the Cold War era, and particularly when a particular political figure called Senator McCarthy was growing in power immensely. And one of the things that was happening when Senator McCarthy was growing in power was that he was stimulating a lot of mass hysteria, fear, and suspicion towards potential communists. And this created a really sort of negative environment where people were, suspicious of each other. Anybody could be the enemy because it's not like, previous wars where there's a particular like race or group of people that that characterize your enemy. A communist is somebody that has a different ideology to you. So they could look exactly like you, but you have no idea that they may be your enemy during this period. So what Arthur Miller did is he created a text that really criticized the creation of this particular political climate. And what he did was expose the real sort of detrimental negative aspects of the human condition or human behaviors that could derive from such a tense, hysterical environment. So what he does is he sets the play in Salem during the 16th century, and particularly during the Salem witch trials, where people were just, there was a very strong religious value and it was a theocracy. And what he talks about, particularly in his overture, is the way that the belief that theocratic government creates a very tense and sort of paradoxical climate. And that's obviously linking back to the rubric, where the motivations of these political figures and this theocratic government is to create unity and to have people believe in their faith. And, obviously the Christian or the Puritanistic values are really key here. But what actually happened in reality was that there was an inconsistency between their motivation, which is for unification, and their behaviors, which started becoming a lot more violent, fearful, and based on persecution. And that's where the paradox starts to emerge. And then you've got this anomaly of John Proctor, who starts challenging that particular political system. And that's really like a key representation of what Miller's doing during this time. So I'm just going to show you some really good links that you can use to understand this particular context. So the first one I really like is a YouTube clip called "What is McCarthyism?" And it just gives you a really good understanding of the political climate during the time. And then this one here actually shows you specifically how that links to Arthur Miller's play. So start there. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a couple more videos that sort of just go through what would work in terms of structuring your essay or your ideas to, adapt to the question and really, again, like I said, have that richness in context and understanding for what Miller's purpose was in creating this particular play.